So
you ever heard that Drake song Back to Back?
Yeah.
So I was watching DBZ one day, and they brought Frieza back, and I was pissed off about it. I said, why the fuck are they bringing Frieza back? So I just like subconsciously made a diss track about Frieza from the perspective of Goku. It's so fucking funny.
Wow. See, this is the stuff we need to be talking about on these podcasts.
Right? It's like, snippet. Ready? Y'all ready? Listen. I said, back to back again. I learned the game from Master Roshi, you can never check me. Back to back is on Namek, you ain't really respect me. Back to back, because at first you thought I was protecting. Back to back, now you standing in front of a legend. Whoa, can't fool the Saiyans, man, we know what's up. Last time I seen you, boy, I blew you up. And Trunks came, cut you into pieces. Damn, I guess Super Saiyan's your weakness. I seen Trunks too, wasn't impressed. Same moves that bodied you, I blocked it with my index, stunting. I have Zeno here, all I do is push a button. Got Chi-Chi in my ear, man, but she can't tell me nothing. I'm taking Gohan by, a couple chicks is on my Nimbus. Since a youngin' I've been fly, I beat up a samurai and a rabbit with some shades on. Every time I die, hit the check and I don't stay long. Chop it up with Yema, he tell me about his dilemmas. I go in and handle business, look Vegeta, he's so jealous, brother, I don't know what L is. All I do is win, bro. I'ma watch my back, but I never watch my kids, though.
KMD.
KMD. Hold it down.
All right. Welcome to KMDcast. That was our opening. We found it.
I don't think we could ever start another way.
Spent the past 20 minutes not talking about absolutely nothing, but now all of a sudden I'm in the mood to talk about some DBZ. It's hot. I'm pinching my nipples right now.
Oh so, man,
looking hot.
That rap was so ill. Now you're ready.
It was so ill. I'm doing nasty things to myself. Slug if you're nasty.
Hello. You whisper slug if you're nasty one more time. I'm calling my lawyer.
I'm gonna try and pop it. I'm gonna be popping it in throughout the entire show, like just when I can. So I'm here, y'all. Before we get started, y'all give a shout out to my motherfucking boyfriends.
Wait.
Wait.
I
don't know who the fuck he's talking about, but hi guys, I'm here.
I know what he's talking about. What's up, guys?
Hey, that's right.
Great. Dwayne just likes to pretend. It's all good.
Right. It's all make
believe.
Right.
So we're here today to talk about some Dragon Ball Z. And so I guess we'll jump right into our first topic. Supreme Kai, Kreisman, do you want to do the by the number segment?
Yeah. So obviously this happened over a week ago now. Sorry again for people who were expecting a podcast last week. We got
don't apologize. Don't apologize.
All right, well, I'll edit it out.
Yeah, man. Shit.
Yeah. All right, fuck you. All right. All right, we'll start that section over again.
Matt had it this date, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. All right, I'm going to edit that part out, so I'm just going to go to the numbers.
No, don't edit it out. No, I want everyone to hear me say, apologize for shit.
I'll leave that part. I'll leave that part in. How about that?
They should feel lucky that I am spending my time doing this for them. How else would this community survive without my voice on a podcast?
Fucking
hashtag humble. Hashtag God blessed.
Good. God damn. All right, buy the numbers from the top.
Buy the numbers. Let's do it. All right. So instead of going into like the MP and mastery breakdown, we're just going to give you the style breakdowns for everything. So there were 2 black players, 3 blue, 6 Namekian, 4 orange, 6 red, and 6 Saiyan. The top 4 decks were Saiyan empowered Broly, Orange Adaptive Yamcha, Namekian Restored Gohan, and Namekian Knowledge Cell. Anything you guys want to talk about before we go into what the finals match and winner was?
Yeah, Wayne, 2 black decks. What's up with that?
I don't know, man. Shit, man. It's hard out here for a black deck nowadays. You feel me?
Dude, it is, man.
As a proud black player, I could definitely say that I would have definitely shown up a towel had I been able to.
Shit is crazy, man. Back in the day, you used to think like the foils that weren't foil were only the black card. I thought it was legit a conspiracy. Y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. Before they came out with that Print 4 shit,
You know it.
I was like, damn, dog, look, why can't I find any black foil cards? I need to call somebody up.
Make sure something wrong didn't happen there.
The
one thing
It was true.
The one thing that's kind of blown my mind. The one thing that's blown my mind so far is that like no one's done well with Black Devious Krillin or shown up with it, as far as I'm aware. Like that seems kind of weird to me.
Since he was resurrected, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't seem like people were talking about how like, it's back, but then no one's done anything with it.
Because Vegeta's just better. Dare I say?
There, I said it. It's in the open for everyone to know.
Better than what?
Better than old Krillin, my OG.
Krillin. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyone that disagrees can fight me. What's up?
Nah, you're right.
Okay.
Speaking of which, it's strange too. Out of the two black decks, no one was playing Devious, and that was like everyone on Retro clamoring about Devious. We had one event where people played Devious, and then this event had no one playing Devious. So it's like you guys asked for it, and you're not doing it.
They introduced you with all these new toys, all this tech. You can't use it if you play Devious, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know Christmas morning comes, dog, I don't go play with my old toys, you know what I'm saying? I want the new shit. Trying to get to the wrapping paper, you know what I'm saying?
I'm saying. Take that toothpick, poke a hole in the present. Gotta see what it is, man. I got my strap, man. When I was a kid, man, I used to take a little toothpick and I'd poke a hole in the wrapping paper.
I understand why you wouldn't just open that shit on Christmas morning.
Nah, man, I did it before Christmas morning. I was scouting, son.
Oh, you scouting? Okay, you on some Mission Impossible shit. I got you.
He was on that next level bullshit. Speaking of which, if we're going to go into that, my sister growing up was notorious for trying to figure out what our parents got us for Christmas. So our parents would have to do things like wrap them in different boxes. They would put the actual present in a different box, so she couldn't just open the wrapping paper and then tape it back up. They used to label my stuff as her stuff.
Savage.
They used to just not put anything for her under the tree until literally that morning. Yeah, she was trying to do all kinds of. Yeah, she was trying to do all kinds of like secret agent nonsense to those presents, and my parents were always one-upping her.
All right, so hold the phone. Are my parents the only ones that put the presents out like Christmas Eve?
I was about to say, my parents would wrap, like, I didn't catch on to this for a while, but my parents would only wrap the shitty presents, so like the clothes and the socks and shit. But the thing is they would always have these huge-ass boxes that were wrapped, and they were just filled with fucking sweatpants and shit, right? Which is disappointing. But at Christmas Eve, like, we'd wake up Christmas morning, and all the presents, which mostly for me consisted of, like, WWF wrestling figures, were, like, placed beautifully on the couch. Like, and I was just like, fucking Santa came! He came and did it! He has such a show. He puts on such a show for us. Fucking laid them out, nice. You know, he even set up the WWF ring so I didn't have to. Fucking
yeah, he has good presentation.
Santa Claus, man. I know he doesn't get enough credit for that.
Shouts to Santa, bro.
Shouts to Santa.
Shouts to Santa.
Slug if you pass.
Listen. I'm only going to say this one time. You are not going to be whispering "slug if you're nasty" throughout this podcast. Okay.
One time.
I'll get in my car, start that shit, then realize it's a folly, and turn it off and come back inside and be mad at you.
That's definitely worse than you driving here, so I'll refrain.
Right, so shut the fuck quiet. That's my thing. Don't use that either.
Just start trademarking everything he says on
here. Yeah. Shit. I'm going to trademark being an asshole. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, right, guys. Let's talk about some DBZ. What the fuck is going on right now? About assholes and Christmas and shit.
Top four, right? Top four. You know, we're being real with people, I think.
Yeah, guys, we're all off the cuff tonight. Forgive us.
All right. Top four decks: Saiyan Empowered Broly, Namekian Restored Gohan, and then the finals was Orange Adaptive Yamcha versus Namekian Knowledge Cell.
That's right.
So it wasn't the top 4 pairing Saiyan Empowered Broly versus Orange Adaptive Yamcha, and then Namekian Restored Gohan versus Namekian Knowledge Cell?
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Okay, so the 2 decks, like, so Orange Adaptive Yamcha got a favorable pairing, and then Namekian Knowledge Cell, I don't know how the deck was built, like if it ran like Namekian Whack to make the mill be banished, like, but
I don't know either.
That seems like a pretty solid matchup for that deck as well. So seems like they ended up getting favorable pairings, but nevertheless,
it sounds like someone's got something to say about it.
Like, I'm just thinking about these decks that we consistently see in the top cut, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if you had to lose to one, what's the one that you're, like, kind of okay losing to? Like, I hate losing to fucking Yamcha, bro. I hate it. I cannot stand it, because he's like the epitome of being a bitch in this game.
Whoa,
like,
whoa.
Like he's right at the top next to Roshi. Like, those two, I hate losing to them. If Broly comes in and beats the shit out of me first combat, so be it. I just caught these hands, I'm laying down sleep. But if Yamcha beats me, I just feel like I just got beat by a fucking weeb, and I just want to hit something.
You're talking about the best baseball player in the world.
I'm talking about Yams, dog, and I know everybody's got that personality. Please, everybody, comment that one personality that maybe your friend plays, and he just gives you that fucking shit grin every time he beats you, and you just can't stand it. Not in my case, because nobody plays Yamcha around me except for Vogler, and you just hate his face anyway. But like,
and he's got that face, though.
I can't stand Yamcha. He's got that face, and he's him and Kelly playing fucking Roshi. I hate both those personalities with a passion. What do you guys hate? Tell me about it. Let's hate his ball. Let's go.
Matt, you want to kick it off then?
Matt don't ever lose. Don't ask him.
I don't really have a personality that I've ever, like, I don't know. No personalities really ever put me on tilt, because I've never lost to, like, a single MP consistently. If I had to think about a deck that I hate playing against,
well, I was gonna say, you could just say me, because of the luck factor I have every time.
Oh yeah, no, man, it's true. Every time I play against Kreitz, it's fucking Christmas. Every time.
For me.
Are you saying Kreitz is your kryptonite though?
Kreitz is my kryptonite.
Is he like the morning before Christmas, or is he like the morning of Christmas? Is he like, under the tree with the sweatpants, or is he on the couch with the figure?
Nah, homie, man, he's wearing the sweatpants. Like, I'm excited.
You're not couch level. You're still
I'm excited. I'm all excited for Christmas and shit, and then I go open the box and I go, it's fucking Kreitz, man. God damn. Like, I'll just be like, I'll enter combat. I'll have this like beefy ass hand, and I'll enter combat, and then he'll be like time, and I'll be like, did you have that in your hand? You top deck is, and be like, oh, I top decked it.
It was the third card.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right. All those would be together.
Yeah, or there's the classic, he won't call, I'll draw nothing but board cards, and I'll go, why the fuck did I call on you?
Yeah.
I'm
Christ,
just that lucky.
Hate seeing.
I
know you got him.
Man. I don't really respect people that do well with Awakening Goku. Like, I get that he's a good deck, but, like, I really just don't respect people that do well with that deck. And that's not to say that they're not good people, obviously. Like, whatever. Like, I'm sure they're great. But Goku is very much a free win deck, I think.
Yeah.
Have
you ever been that guy that just plays the best deck?
I know I haven't. If you've read any of my articles, you know that that's not true.
Like, been the guy or met the guy?
Been the guy.
No, that's never me. I mean, unless I make the best deck in the format, then that's me.
Shout out
like
to Church Roshi.
Shout out to a lot of things.
Yeah.
That I'm not gonna go ahead and list the decks, because people are then gonna jump on it and be like, "Oh my god, he said that he claimed this. Oh god."
Yeah, they're gonna start getting clingy on it.
Don't get clingy, dog. Please don't get clingy.
People get clingy, son. Craziness. Nah. Yeah, no, I've never been that guy that plays the best deck.
Was Krillin ever the best deck?
Yeah, he was. For a period of time.
He was one of them for sure.
What if I promised that before this game even came out, I was like, I want to play Krillin? Does that save my soul?
I think it does a little bit.
No, it does. It does for sure. Like if you came into this game wanting to play a character because you really like them and they just happen to be good, that happens.
All right, cool.
Like that's a thing that just occurs with DBZ. Like, but it's also random ass stuff that the designers do for DBZ. Even if you look back in history, they give rando personalities the best abilities.
Yeah, shout outs to Tao.
Yeah.
Yeah, androids.
Okay.
Of all the androids that people truly love, people really love Android 17 and 18, but they make Android 20 the best personality.
That's
they made him in a lame way, though.
What do you mean lame way?
Well, think about it, man. Okay, so Android 20 is a fucking nerd. Like, he never won anything. He's the brains. And when you play any kind of 20 deck, you sit there and you play that lame-ass, brainy game that no one likes to play unless you're a fucking robot, i.e. Alex Sabat, making eat a D, or Dende. Let's stay on theme here. But, like, if you want to actually go in and play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and you want to go in and fight, you be one of the androids, but they're just not good. But you'll have that little glowing feeling inside that you're playing someone that you like. They're just not good.
Yeah, but the problem is when, the game gets designed in a sense where cards on board is better than cards in hand because they add cards to your hand. So,
yeah,
like that's just like let's just take set 1, Captain Ginyu being the best MP in sets 1 and 2. Like, the main reason why was because it's like, oh, my power does a thing, and then it goes and gets a thing that gets on the table. Oh, and then I get to use that thing too. Oh, and I can do it every turn. Sounds good. Like, Ginyu, rando-ass character, was amazing.
Yeah, it was a rando character. And he would have been, like, untouchable if they wouldn't have made that Comic-Con Krillin, bro. If it would have just been regular Krillin, Ginyu would have ran wild for, like, 4 sets.
Fucking Hulk Hogan, man.
Yeah.
He would have, man.
Fucking Hulk Hogan.
Ginyu has 24-inch pythons. It's real.
He's pretty swole. Not going no homo.
Kreisman's like, actually,
if I could just interject for a moment.
All right. So we talked. Oh wait, hold on. We're still talking about Supreme Kai. My bad.
Yeah, that's right.
So the winner was. I told you.
Yeah.
Finals, Adaptive Yamcha versus Knowledge Cell. Knowledge Cell won. Shout out to my motherfucking boyfriend, Jordan Syverson.
There's no defense for that, bro. It's awful.
I only wish that we had talked about this before every Kai event, so you could have done that for everywhere.
I'm going to do it for every winner. Shout out to fucking Fred.
Like, oh, you're that dude that won Supreme Kai. Yeah, you're Matt Coon's motherfucking boyfriend. They never just say boyfriend. They always just say the whole thing, motherfucking boyfriend.
I'm going to start making shirts for people that win events. Matt Coon's motherfucking boyfriend.
Oh, you can make one that just says, shout out to my motherfucking boyfriend, and it's you just, like, pointing up at their head, like, off the shirt.
Done. All right.
I would love for you to do that and it just blow up in your face, dog. Like, say you're entertaining some young lady and they just want to Google your name and they find those shirts. You're like, what the fuck? Let's put your face on them, too, so there's no mistake. Let's do that. Let's make this happen. Come on.
All right, let's do it. Let's do a retro community.
That's right.
So anyway, so how do you guys think that this tournament is going to impact the metagame? Like, any thoughts about that? I know that, Wayne, you and I are going to be playing in the Gen Con Fan Z event, and we have some events coming up. What are your thoughts on the metagame going forward?
I don't think the outcome of this tournament is going to change anything at all. I think that things are pretty much set, and people are going to play what they want to play. Like, the results from that tournament, and first of all, it wasn't very large. How many people were there, Kreitz?
27. Yeah.
That's not bad, but I don't think that there was anything crazy. Like, top 8 was pretty much what we've been seeing in the last few tournaments, right? There wasn't anything too wild in there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing we had that I could find was the top 4 list, but, yeah, I mean, the top 2 decks that keep showing up in every finals were at least still in top 4. So.
Yeah. And I think that's, like, honestly, if you look at the way the format is broken down, the reason why those two decks are so successful is because those two decks operate what they want to accomplish so consistently. And so they're always going to be at the top tables, whereas the other decks are either focusing playing multiple card slots dedicated to beating other matchups, or they're just playing strategies that don't interact well with those two decks. So those two decks are still just in the sweet spot. Like, they're just two decks that do exactly what they want to do, and they do it consistently, so they always end up having a shot at winning.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely talked about how, like, consistent they are. Broly can put out so much raw damage. Like, sometimes you just get lucky when you're playing Broly, and you just catch your opponent in a bad spot and crush their face in. And with Gohan, it's just an inevitability thing. Like, you're pressing your advantage so much every single turn. Like, you're advancing your board state, you're doing the things you want to do, and even if your opponent can interact with it, they can't interact with all of it. Like,
facts. You know what this game needs?
What's that?
It needs to punch Gohan in the dick.
Oh man, it needs
You know what this game needs to catch these motherfucking play hands.
Let me touch you one time. With this play hands play.
Fucking focus physical bombs. Bow.
Playing. All right. So going forward, I still think playing MPVV decks in red is a really good idea. Orange Retribution is still underplayed, but still one of the most powerful archetypes in the game. Blue decks are still not that good. And black decks, unfortunately, are just caught in this weird space where their masteries aren't generating enough card advantage to keep up with the other styles.
Yeah, I don't see. For me, I don't think it's that black isn't generating enough. I think the problem is that, like, its answers are just not as good as, like, Gohan, right? Like, even if you are making them, discard cards or poking one or two cards out of play every turn, you can't deal with everything he's doing. And every card that he doesn't want, he can just turn into something else. Like, it's just hard, I think, for black to stop all of the board presence that Gohan can give you and all of that hand smoothing that Gohan can give you. It just can't answer both at the same time. It can only answer one every combat, right?
Yeah. Not only does the MP work you over, like, mostly every card you play gives him some other type of advantage. So it's really hard, even if you're devious and you're making him discard a card, it's really hard to keep up with his actions both in hand and on board. So because he's searching allies with a lot of his attacks. Sometimes he's rejuven and getting effects from rejuven cards, and once he gets allies on board, sometimes they have effects he can use, so he's just getting so much more value than his opponent. So
I mean, like, if you just think about, if you made a black deck right now, like, Wayne, what do you think the best card in your deck is, or the best card in the black card pool is right now in this metagame? Like, if you had to pick one.
Like, specifically black?
Yeah, in black. Just pick a card that you think is black's best card.
Black's best card is probably still either one of the ones that stop physicals or energy. It's either Energy Web or Defensive Burst.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I can maybe see that.
Okay, so I mean, Christman, what do you think? Are you in line? Is that your same opinion, or do you have a different one?
I mean, I want to say that, like, the hand disruption stuff is good. I don't know if it's, like, better than, like, just shutting off your opponent for an entire combat, though. Because, like, I really think that cards like Black Interrogation or, like, the Memory or Strength Display stuff to mess with your opponent's hand, I think it's gotten better, but I don't know if it's exactly better than just your attacks are dead in your hand now. Like, that's pretty hard to be better than,
Yeah. Again, when people are having, like, 6 and 7 cards in their hand now, like, you taking one card from them isn't really a big deal. But if they're all physicals and you hit them with a defensive burst, you just essentially took... If they're all physicals, you just took 6 cards from them.
Yeah, but I mean, so what you just did by calling out those two cards, or those two cards are effectively completely dead in the Gohan matchup.
Right. That's why it's a weird spot for black, like you said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you'll do good against your Yamchas and your Brolys, but you'll suffer against your Gohans.
Yeah.
And your 20s.
Yeah, even my pick is my pick is black searching technique because it's you're trading one card for the best two cards in their deck. Like, and even when you do that, like that's my problem is like now is even when you do that, like that used to be black's best card, but even when you do that, that's still not enough to get you to a victory. Like whereas in sets past, like that used to be like one of the key parts of your strategy. Oh, I'm going to get a searching technique down. I'm going to strip some key cards, and then I'm going to play the long game. Whereas now, if you try and do that, you're just going to play a long game where you just lose.
Psych, I lied. Unless you're Vegeta. If you are Vegeta, play 3 Black Reflection. Oh my God, that card is broke with Vegeta. You literally get to pick whatever you're going to choose with Reflection that turn with Vegeta's level 1 ability and use it with Black Reflection. It's absolutely insane.
The card's real good.
Yeah. You know what?
It's crazy.
You know what that makes me think about now is the matchup against Namekian, period. Playing Reflections might be insane because you can just, like, Resourceful Shot a bunch of times.
Right.
You have to just, like, get rid of their board, take their Dragon Balls, like, stuff like that. That could be kind of sick.
Yeah, but especially if they're playing, like, if they're playing Optic Blast, forget about it, bro, because you're getting +2 from Vegeta, and if it hits, then you're doing crit on crit on crit. And if they're playing Earth Balls and you're drawing a card and you get to do it multiple times a game, and it's just a bad time.
Or if you run the one of Tech Black Adaptation to stop their energy attack.
Yeah.
And then banish them shits, and then now you have access to them forever.
Yeah, that's true.
Nah, be quiet, guys. We should stop talking about this. People are gonna catch on.
No,
I wish I would play Black. Go ahead. But it's funny because that's always been a bad matchup for Black, Namekian. Like, since the beginning of time, Namekian has been that style that just Black has a hard time with.
Yeah. I wonder... It seems like it shouldn't have that big of an issue. I guess the problem is that, like, for the longest time, Black just couldn't deal with board presence, and Namekian is, like, mono board presence. Not just in Gohan, but just, like, in general, because they play a lot of setups and things like that. And obviously Dragon Balls.
It just would outlast you, dude. It rejuves so much.
Yeah.
Like, you get your damage in, but they just beat you in the long game.
Yeah. Man, there's something I was just about to mention before we went off on the Reflection tangent. What was it?
I know what you were going to say.
The world's never now.
Nasty.
Motherfucker. Okay. All right. This how you get done, world. You know what I'm saying? You have a little success with Slug Dad, and all of a sudden motherfuckers is whispering about you.
That's right. You can shove it in his face later when we talk about the WMAT format.
Shit.
You ain't scared?
Speaking of which, we'll shift gears.
Mm-hmm.
WMAT format update. So the winner semifinal is Tommy Maines and playing Nail.
How? I need a soundbite. How, Sway?
You ain't got the answers, Sway. You ain't got the answers.
Shit, he does have the answers. Damn. Holy shit. We need to get him on the show.
Yeah. I mean, I would really like to... I really want to pick, like, the brain of, like, the people who did well with... I don't want to say bad MPs, but unplayed MPs, I guess.
Less pop.
Yeah, less popular MPs. Yeah, and I mean, like, I played against his Nail deck.
Anytime, bro. Anytime you want to ask me any questions, anytime you want to ask me, you can ask me anytime, Christ. Don't be ashamed to ask me. I'll tell you about it when it's all over. Okay?
I tell you everything.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
I tell you everything. And then Mason Knox playing Retribution Android 13.
Yeah.
Mason Knox is a good player, though.
Yeah. So those two are going to have to face off for the winner semifinal, which is pretty dope, especially to see Nail versus Mason Knox. So that'll be pretty cool to see who ends up winning that one. Hopefully Nail can take it home for the underdogs out there.
Right.
I do think that Retribution 13 is just as a tier 1 deck, like in any format in any universe of this game. So we'll see. But Tommy Mays has been pulling off miracles so far, so let's see if he can pull it off against Mason Knox and Android 13.
Yeah, like I was going to say, I played against Tommy round 1, and, I thought I was kind of pulling ahead, and then all of a sudden he did, like, 13 things in one combat, and I was just dead. And I was like, what just happened from the snail tank? And apparently I'm not the only person that caught that. Yeah.
What?
He caught them nail hands.
That's right.
Shit. He was a Piccolo. He was like, oh, shit, no Gohan in this format? Shit. Yeah. Give me all the cards. All the cards that draw cards. I want them right now. Yeah.
Dope. That's right. All right, so then losers bracket remaining, we still have Shane Westmoreland playing Nappa, Richard Wells playing Wheelo, Daniel Behe playing Frieza, Kevin Dennis playing Cooler, Ben Collier playing Android 20, myself playing Captain Ginyu, and Wayne Bettis playing Lord Slug. Who knew that Majin Buu was on the show?
That's right.
Yeah, you a cookie. Oh, it's crazy. It's funny because you got to play that game where like you just get beat up, and then just like, whoops, look at this, I got 7 balls, and it's crazy because they go into feeling like real comfortable to feeling like, oh shit, how many cards are left in your deck? You'd be like, yeah, there's only 6, but you about to die because I'm about to draw these 6 balls. It's great. It's the best feeling.
Story of the tournament: Wayne gets his ass kicked and manages to win.
Hey,
Wayne.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's crazy because when you play a Dragon Ball deck in general, you don't feel like you're going to lose until you actually lose. It's insane. It's an insane feeling. Your opponent will have like 45 cards, and you'll have like 10. You'll be like, boy, you're fucked. You better do something right now, or else you're dead. It's a cool little dynamic.
No, it really is. It's one of the. It's the main reason why in a lot of deck lists that I always build, I always want to try and run all 7 Dragon Balls. Like, it's like the best fail-safe ever, and then like you said, you just get to put pressure on people that they didn't see coming. And they're like, wait a second. He's running ball 1 and 6?
Wait.
And 5?
He's not running all 7.
He's running... That motherfucker. He's running all 7 balls.
I didn't plan for this.
I wasn't prepared. I did too much damage. What was I thinking? But World Tournament's been fun so far. I was on a run, but then ended up losing to Mason Knox. He played really well. He did have two really solid combats. For one, he top decked time off of a possession drill draw, which was real good.
Oh, that's money, yeah.
And then he check-up drilled Rejuve time back into the deck, and then shuffled his deck, and then like drew at the next combat when my hand was really saucy, and I was just like, well, that's it's DBZ, like. Right. So no, it was he acknowledged the game and everything, but overall, shout out to him. He's a good player and a cool dude. So hopefully he can continue to do well, and hopefully I can just come out of the losers bracket and play in the finals. We'll see. Squad's
definitely not getting to the finals, dog.
I was gonna say Wayne might have something to say about that.
Wait,
Slug gonna put them fangs on you.
Turn 1, I'm gonna drop Cooler on your turn. Turn 2, I'm gonna enter combat. I'm gonna fetch Frieza, and then I'm just gonna push your shit in until you're dead.
Okay.
Until
Turn
you're
2,
dead,
right?
Wayne.
Turn 2, okay. Turn 1, I'm gonna say Su Whoop. Shenron gonna come out and whip you to the fucking dead zone, and then we're done. And I go to the finals, and then you stay in the dead zone knocking on glass, dog. All right, that's how it's gonna go.
I don't believe it, man. You're going to be stuck on level 2 the entire game.
This is going to be pay-per-view, dog. This I'll take. I don't give a fuck. Like, wait.
This is bigger than Mayweather, Gregor.
I said it's going to be that way. It's how it's going to be.
This is getting you slug right now. This is bigger. This is the biggest event in DBZ history.
God, big damn it. You must be out your fucking mental, bro.
Only for you, old man. My hand's too fat. Squad's too strong. We can be dabbing all night. Dabbing on your grave, son.
Okay.
Down, little bitch.
Okay. Okay. Slug's gonna come in and ride the fucking dragon like it's fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
and burn the shit out of all y'all. It's gonna be fucking crazy. You're gonna be like, who is that green man on top of that dragon? Shoot the thing. It didn't work.
You put some fangs on me. I don't know what happened.
We're really recording this soundbite right now. This is really happening. Slug if you're nasty, but gin you if you saucy, you little bitch. All right, never mind.
Never mind.
Moving on.
When you try something that doesn't work out, you immediately bail. You're like, no one's. Never mind. Wait, just playing. Just kidding.
Edit that shit out. We'll begin.
We ain't edit shit. we don't edit shit on this show, right?
Right? You cut nothing out.
You cut
gotta
nothing.
hear this.
They need to experience it.
That's fair. Yeah, they gotta know what it's like being us in this call. This is real life.
This is, man.
I don't like it, man. We got tissues for they
There ain't no take backs. Ain't no take backs. If you shuffle your discard pile, that's a game loss. Scott D.A.S.H-ing.
I saw you. I seen you do it. Oh my god.
Yo, I'm gonna shuffle my discard pile so many times in Octagon League, dog. It's so easy to do.
It's just that easy.
You right click shuffle. No, wait,
no.
No.
I start to type randomly so they don't see it in the chat. They don't see the kid shuffle his deck. I'm just like, hey man, you good? What kind of day you having? All right, your turn. Pass the button to him like 6 times.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's your turn. Go ahead. It's fine. Go.
Just go, man. I don't know how that ended up there. Whatever.
Hey man, shout to Scott D.A.S.H-ing, man. My homie Flip Flop. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, man, I'm excited to see him at Gen Con. It's just gonna be hilarious.
This is gonna be
You're just
hilarious.
excited to tell him that he can watch you in top 8. It's the only thing you're excited about. That's the only thing you're excited about.
I can't wait for Matt to walk up to him and say, everybody say what's up to my motherfucking boyfriend, Scott D.A.S.H-ing. I'm gonna die laughing, bro.
I'm gonna do it. We're gonna hit the club, and I'm gonna do this y'all. Shout out to my motherfucking boyfriend, Scott D.A.S.H-ing. Yep, that's happening. That's real. I'm gonna do Facebook Live in retro so everyone can see it. It's gonna be beautiful. All right, we're gonna move on to topic number 3.
Yeah, speaking of Dashy and you, topic 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say, thank you, Christman. That was actually my segue. We're gonna talk about being good versus being bad.
Oh.
All right.
The faint sound of shots fired.
Damn. Damn, shit's real. Darn. All right. So, first thing we're going to talk about is what's listed on here is playing good decks. Being good versus being bad. Right. Step 1.
Now what happened was
You should have made that more broad and said just play good cards, because that's actually what I tell people. Just play good cards.
See, here's the problem. Here's your problem. Not everyone can differentiate a bad card from a good card. So how do you do that? What makes a card good?
Dude, it's the rarity, man.
The rarity.
That's not actually the case.
The stars aren't just random.
The stars align.
Dude, it's 5-star. 5-star cards are like good, and then 6-star cards are the best. And if you find a 7-star card, that's God tier.
God tier card. Okay.
God tier card.
All I gotta do is start drawing stars on my cards, and they become good.
Yeah.
Right. And they gotta be foil.
I would say, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Instant Transmission is a 7-star foil card, and that card is not good.
Hey, man. Hey.
Hey now.
Settle down, man.
What the fuck you saying over there?
Nah. Playing good cards. Playing good cards is it's a really broad topic because it can change based on the environment that you're playing in. So let's talk about, like, do you guys want to talk about a previous format and then compare it to this format now? Like a card that was great before and then bad now?
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay. Wayne,
Yeah.
what format do you want to start with, and then like what card do you have in mind?
Oh no. All right, so I'm gonna take it all the way back, right? I'm gonna take it all the way back to like the beginning of this game, where physical damage was hard to win. It was hard to win dealing physical damage. So to deal more damage directly to the life deck, people ran energy attacks, and
no, he's cutting out. We're missing it all.
We'll never know.
Bam!
Wayne, come back to us, please.
Wayne!
Christ said this talisman would keep me out of the Shadow Realm.
You should know never to listen to me.
I know it could bring him back.
Okay. All right, motherfucker, you said that I'll kill you.
I was trying to summon you back to the call. I thought it would work.
All
right. Crates go, and then I'll finish up. All
right.
I'll send my Wi-Fi catch up.
All right.
Okay. So let's see. So I mean, I can't think of like a particular card off the top of my head, but like we were saying earlier, right? So look at Devious Krillin, right? So when the game first started, that was one of the top tier decks.
Yeah.
And now look at it now, and even in this format where you can play Devious again, like even with the loss of the Fan Z cards, like that deck does, or at least to me, it feels like it does almost nothing. Like the fact that it's back doesn't really feel like it's a big exciting thing, right? Like it had its heyday when decks weren't going super wide, and it can answer one issue card on the board per turn, and now it doesn't even matter. Like even like look at Gohan, right? Like Gohan plays so many things in a turn, or like can just handle what you're doing so well and like recuperate from it that it doesn't even matter that you kill one thing a turn, like or kill a card from his hand every turn. What is that doing to him? Virtually nothing.
I bet you I can give you some work with Krillin.
That might be true.
Play some games.
You definitely have the secret technology, I'm sure, still stashed away somewhere.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. All right. So,
am I back?
Wayne, are you back? Yeah, we're starting to hear you
back
now more. So, what were you gonna say before you got banished?
I was saying that back then, got banished. There wasn't a lot of decks that could pressure you physically, so energies were more popular. But, as the sets progressed, physicals became better, and as physicals become better, obviously energies become less good because without stages, you can't throw them. So what may have been a decent energy attack before, like cards like Pesky Barrage and Crushing Beam, are less good now because you're not really sure if you're going to have those stages to throw them. You try to find alternate ways of doing damage. So that's the way that things can change. Like, because back then, those cards were insanely good because you knew that you were going to be able to throw them. Versus now, you might not be so sure. So it changes.
A card that stood out to me, like, and it just happens to go along with the fact that you were talking about Black Krillin, was Black Foreshadowing. In set 3, 4, and 5 format, that card was really viable to play in a black deck, like because it, the extra damage actually meant something. Whereas now, if you take an action to cast that card in combat, that's just way worse than anything that your opponent could do on their turn.
I don't know, man.
Wayne, how many top cuts have you had the past year?
Oh my fucking god!
How many top cuts have I had the past year? Actually, quite a few. You son of a bitch. I'll be there. I'll be in there. Yeah.
Oh no, better. Even though I think everyone played this card, early on, but I think it just picked up more value over time. Devastating Blow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That card was great. It was good before, but now the effects are more relevant than ever.
Well, as more sets came out, there are more and more cards that can interact with the discard pile. So getting those cards out of there became more and more good.
Yeah. Well, I think it also scales well because MPs are just stronger now, right? Like, it being AT plus 1 isn't as bad when you're in, like, D, E, and F, from, like, level 1 or 2 up, right? Like, so, where before a lot of decks were like, I don't know, like, it's a weak attack, like, the discard pile, like, banishing may not be relevant for every match. Now it's kind of like everything you could ever want on a card.
Yeah. Except for endurance.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure if they could go back, they'd slap 2 endurance on it, though.
Yeah. But I think essentially it's just when you're talking about playing good cards, like just making sure that your cards that you're putting in your deck are going to be relevant for the games that you expect to play. Like, if you know that you're going to be playing a lot of Broly decks, you need to make sure your deck has not only physical blocks, but of course stage gain effects to help act as pseudo blocks, and then maybe even combat enders. Like, if you're playing against Gohan decks, you should probably think about how to get more critical damage effects in your deck. Like, I think just a lot of times people just get lost in, instead of thinking how is this deck going to respond to the environment, they just think to themselves, well, this is the deck that I want to play. And, like, that's okay if you have, like, your MP mastery combination that you want to play because everyone is, like, clingy. But but if you're going to be walking into a tournament and you're going to be that stubborn about your card choices because it's just this is what you feel you should play in your deck, like, that's what's going to lead you to a path of not achieving much success when it comes to tournament play.
I think that if you're that far along, you know what I mean, you're obviously committed to your strategy, and you're all into what you're doing, and what your success is not hinging on whatever your opponent's doing. So if you're there, fine, you can do that. But I think that a few ways to alleviate this is every couple weeks or whatever, you'll look at the top 2 decks, or the decks that you think you should be beating, and you'll go through every single card in your deck and evaluate, why is it there? Is it still good? And if you do it often enough, you'll probably think, okay, some of the times I draw this card, I feel this way. All right, it stays in. This one, not so much. Maybe I could try something else in this spot. And your deck will, continue to change and along with the meta and stay more competitive. And like what this deck used to have doesn't have it going for it anymore. Maybe it's something else. But if you're looking, you're not going to see those things. So,
yeah, like in a format where, like a previous format where, let's just take Dragon Balls for instance. So playing Dragon Balls in a deck could have been really good for a long time, but then if Red gets really popular, then playing Dragon Balls in a deck gets,
bad.
Becomes less of a good idea because you're going to end up trading those back and forth with the opponent, and you're going to run out of critical damage effects before they do. Like,
yep.
Kreis, what do you think? Kreis, since I think we've all played Magic, and Wayne plays it, you play it. Like, and I know that. So when you think about the metagame and cards to play and things like that, like, what are your thoughts on this kind of stuff?
So, for me, it's always different. So, like, I obviously approach the game. Oh, excuse me, that was weird. I just became a man apparently on the cast. I was a real boy. I always approach the game. I approach the game from a way different standpoint, right? Like, I try to play strategies that aren't seeing play and try to find their potential. So, like, the way I evaluate cards kind of stems from that. Like, I try to find a unique MP and mastery situation that I think has potential against the top decks, and then I have to find the answers that complement that strategy. And so I tend to evaluate cards, I think, different because of that. Because, some MPs have these weird options that other people don't have. Like, for example, I've been thinking a lot lately about Android 19 and Android 20. Because they're, aside from 20, who saw a lot of play in, like, Orange, and he's seen some play in Black, when he first came out in Set 4. He hasn't really seen a ton of play lately. But I think both those MPs have a really interesting way of handling the game that no one else gets options with. In particular, 19, because he has his named block that can turn off immediate effects on an energy attack. And that, to me, is, like, insane. Like, I'll resourceful shot. Okay, you don't get the crit. Or Vegeta, okay, well, you don't get the double crits or the anger. So you can have your Gallic Gun, or you can have Final Flash with no effect. Like, that's fine. You can have a 4 damage attack. Like, it's all these cool, weird things that you can do. Like, even against, like, Broly. Like, he'll do his Eraser Cannon and get nothing, and now you can just block it if you want. Like, or, things like that. It's all these weird things that this card that no one else gets a chance to use that can, like, completely destroy the momentum of a turn for someone because they just forget that that's a card that exists. And so, like, they might lead with a weaker energy attack, you block with it, it attaches to you, and now their better energy that they were hoping to get off for their effects looks worse in their hand now because you have that on you. And it's like those kind of weird cards that I think
to generate
have.
I mean, that's going to generate substantial value. Like you're looking at the value that's going to give you by denying someone like what they thought they were going to get off of a card. So you're trying to make their cards worse, not necessarily by playing better cards, but your game plan is to make their cards worse.
Yeah,
or feel worse.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Like, so my play style typically, at least as of the last 2 sets, has been have as little board presence as possible that can be disrupted by crit effects. Because if you've noticed, like on our podcast, on like Brewcast, on things that people are saying on Retro, crits matter. Everyone has been saying it for like since Awakening came out. Crits matter, crits matter, crits matter. If you make crits not matter, what is your opponent doing? Like, all of a sudden, like, all these cards that they're, like, really expecting to get a lot of value out of just seem subpar.
They're getting to say the word crit.
They're hitting you for 5 or more. That kind of sucks.
That's a crit.
Yeah, but if your deck is built to deal with damage, especially because, like, my decks tend to have high endurance, high block counts.
God.
Like, so the damage doesn't matter.
God.
Like, yeah, but that's my thing, right? Like, it's stemming from the fact that I've played Magic for almost 20 years now. Like, the way I play that game is the long game. Like, I've always played Control in Magic. I'm a very slow, methodical player when it comes to stuff like that. And I have that same approach when it comes to DBZ. Like, if I can just outlast you, there's a good chance I'm going to beat you because your deck is probably designed to win fast or at least do efficient things. And if your efficient thing is now no longer efficient, my deck is just going to be better.
Yeah.
Like, or at least my lines of play have the potential to be better.
Well, you also get into a space where it just then now starts to come down to decision making. Like, and that's like the way that you think about things is honestly like I do it differently, but that's how I try and play a game. Like, if I can take a game into the deeper parts, the longer parts, like I feel like I end up having the advantage against my opponent because often whether if it's decision making or just I know the cards I have left in my deck, I feel like I can end up squeaking out a lot of games that way. So I feel you when it comes to that for sure.
Well, honestly, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, I was saying, I think honestly, I think it's all three of us. Like, look at the MPs that all three of us like to play.
True.
Like, Wayne likes Slug. You like Ginyu. I like Tau. Those are not necessarily fast decks. Like, Ginyu has the potential to be if you get really explosive and they can't answer you. But you're specifically like with the one that you've been playing, it seems like it's designed to do better in the mid and late game.
Yeah. I make the game as fair as possible.
Yeah. And so, then, like, that's the whole thing. Is like the three of us, I think we all share that idea of just, like, if we can get the reins, like, in our hand, then we can kind of steer the game where we want it to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we start to... Go ahead, Wayne.
I think it's about taking, options away from your opponent.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, by me choosing Slug, you know what I mean, I don't really care as what my opponent does as long as they're not taking my Dragon Balls. They could literally be raffle stomping me. It doesn't matter. If Matt's playing Ginyu, he just needs his eyes on the board, and eventually things will go his way. That's all he has to accomplish, and his strategy will be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. Tau, I really don't get it. I don't really get how it works, but thank you, please.
Yeah.
I've seen it work.
Yeah, so the point of the deck, then the reason why it took a lot of games away from people at South Kai was the fact that you don't get to be in combat if I don't want you to be. Like, I had 8 ways to get out of combat. I had, I think, like 14 blocks in my deck. I had ways to get cards out of your deck, like with Searching Technique and other effects like that. I had like crits didn't matter against me. I wasn't leveling unless I was like playing Unleashed, and even then I was only trying to get to level 2 once I had locked the game in, so that every attack I'm throwing at you is now like poking you to death. Because the early game, the level 1 was rejuvenating the cards back that I needed to keep seeing over and over again. On top of the fact that I had a bunch of hand disruption because I was playing Devious. So, like, you don't get to play the game you want to play against the Tau list I was running. Like, you just have to deal with the bullshit that I'm presenting to you and just try to outlast it. But the problem is, if I think you can outlast it, then combat's over. And all the cards that you have in your hand were wasted anyway. Like, so it's just all of those, like, small gains that add up.
So that makes a lot of sense. So all Tau has to do is end combat, and he controls the pace of the game. See, I think that players become, a little bit off course when they try to say, okay, all I got to do is get into combat. Then I got to stay in the combat. Then if I have my name card, then it's really cool. And if I have this on the board, then that's cool too. It's going to make it even better. Like, they're trying to fulfill all these different checks out these check boxes to where it's going to mess with their efficiency. You know what I mean? Whereas I literally don't care what my opponent is doing as long as they're not stealing my Dragon Balls. And it's pretty easy to do in a slug list. Like I said, as long as Matt gets his allies out, things are like his opponent's going to fold. They can't keep up. They can't keep up with that much pressure from all those allies. It's kind of like a more aggressive of a Gohan type of strategy. And Tau, like you said, if you can't get in combat, he can't kill you. And when he is in combat, he's losing. So one goal. One solid game plan, and if you know that game plan while you're building your deck will be that much better off.
Damn, Wayne, well said, man. You actually sound like a tier 1 player.
You know what I'm saying? Man, I got a little razzle-dazzle, you know what I'm saying? I would like to say for the record, son, your record in tournament against me isn't that great.
Hey. That don't matter.
That's all I'm saying.
That don't matter.
I'm going to leave it at that. I'll be spanking that ass. For us, all I'm going to say.
Wait, that don't matter.
I'm still missing a shoe. Like, that's the last thing I'm going to say.
All right, Wayne. I'll let you have it, because you don't really have much when it comes to DBZ. So.
Until the pay-per-view, dog. See me on pay-per-view, bitch.
I'll see you little bitch. I'm going to fuck your shit up. You ain't ready for it.
Son, these balls on your forehead. Oh, you my motherfucking boyfriend.
Look if you're nasty.
Shut the fuck up, bro. Stop saying that.
You stop saying that. So next thing to talk about being good versus being bad. When to call combat. And I think this also could be broadened out to when to be aggressive, when to be reactive, like when to sit back and wait. Because I think there's a lot of times that DBZ players make this mistake, whether if it's taking a turn off when they should just keep up the pressure on somebody, or just entering in a spot where they're assuredly behind and have nothing they can do, or shit, you're in a situation where your opponent has this insane board that they've been developing every turn, and you kind of just have to enter to break through it. You have to know when to do those things. So, with that being said, let's talk about some of the most common things. So, when entering combat, and you're the attacker, what are some things that you guys look for, whether if it's game state, or are cards in hand, or just specific things that you look for in a hand that you're looking to go into combat with?
Well, there are several things. I like the acronym HADS. First thing I check is how many cards are in their hand, so H, and then you check A, their anger, D, their discard pile, and S, their stages. You should assess those 4 things before you enter combat if the game is anywhere near close. If you assess those 4 things and you can check off maybe 3 out of the 4 check boxes, then you're good to go, and if your hand's good. But I've seen so many times players enter combat and their opponent will do some wily coyote fuck shit out of their discard pile with like a VTP, and it'll just ruin them. And not only did it's bad, it's super bad because they're entering, they get smacked, then their opponent's turn, and they come back in and they get smacked again, and then the game's out of their hands. It's out of reach. So if you check those, I believe if you check those 4 things, or at least keep up on those 4 things, you'll be better off.
Man, I like that little acronym, man. That's cute as shit.
You know, again, man, I've done this once or twice. You know what I'm saying? I've been around the block, but the neighborhood's small. You know what I'm saying?
Kreisman, what do you think, man? Like when it comes to like whether it's hand quality or things that you look for.
So yeah, I mean the thing for me is like because I kind of like I said approach things a little differently. It tends to be for me how can I get them to use options that they don't want to use, like at poor times for them. So like if I have a hand that they might have to. I have a really aggressive attack, but everything else is kind of reactive. But I know that they have time or they have a VTP to get time. Like, can I force them to use the time now, then wait for them to use it on a turn where I have, like, a full aggressive hand? Like, can I make them make poor choices? That's usually what I try to do. Like,
that seems like a dangerous game, Kreitz.
It is. It definitely can be. But again, because I build my decks in a very, like, weird control way, it is a lot safer than it sounds, at least sometimes. Like, you can definitely get caught with your pants down. Like, one of the big things that happened to me at South Kai that I talked about was when I played against Joey round 1, I got black swirled both combats. I had puzzles in my hand, it being the only block and my only way to combat. And one of those combats, I called on him knowing that I had that out, and Swirl destroyed me. And, like, those are the risks you take when you try to play in that avenue. But if you can make it work, then your opponent just feels backpedaled. Like they have to now do a bunch of catching up, and all you had to do was just like make them make one bad choice.
Nice.
Ready? Yo, Coom's about to drop some science on y'all. Ready?
Nah,
that's right.
Coom's about to drop a fucking scripture on you. Hit him with it. Go ahead.
No. Honestly, I think for starters, what Wayne said, I think is really awesome because I've never really had a name or way to describe it, but the thing that I think that Wayne touched on the most without saying it is the details. It's not just checking things, but knowing what specific card. Like me, I always think when I'm about to enter combat, I line up my cards. Usually it's 4 cards when I'm about to enter combat. And me, I don't value blocks unless I need them. Like that is my thing with blocks. Like I don't value them that highly unless I need them or know that something is going to hurt me. So when I enter combat, I tend to enter combat on maybe 1 block hands, and it's a relevant block. So I'll maybe look to stop 1 energy attack or 1 physical attack depending on the deck type, and then I'm looking for at least 2 cards that are accomplishing something, and then 1 card that I want to sit back on and wait to see how the combat goes. So that's usually how I assess my hand. And then when it goes to entering combat, I always think about what is the card that if they drew it right now would truly ruin my turn. And then of course I check their discard pile. I see if it's in there. I see how many copies are in there. And if there's not, I have to do some math. So I have to think to myself, like, how many copies are left in his deck, and then what's the percentage chance of him drawing that this turn? And if it does happen, is that going to be backbreaking to me this turn, or can I just essentially have a better chance of accomplishing what I want to accomplish? So whenever I enter combat, I have to, of course, check, HADs, like Wayne said, but also just, truly lining up my cards and then thinking to myself, what is the worst possible thing that they could, the best possible card that they could draw to prevent me from having a productive combat? And then if they do, are they going to completely swing the game in their favor? So those are just little things that I look for or pay attention to, or what's going through my mind when I'm trying to decide when to enter. I'm not the type I don't really ever enter a combat with that phrase, fuck it, I'll enter. Unless they're down really low in life deck and I've counted their outs and there's maybe 1 left in deck, and the thing is I have the perfect hand and it's now or never. That's really the only time that I'll kind of enter balls to the wall and just say, whatever, if it happens, happens. But always I'm thinking about these things and taking them into consideration. And I think often too many times people are trying to play in a competitive event and they're giving into that, well, this is the best hand I'm going to get, so I might as well enter now, without taking into account the details. And that's how a lot of people just end up losing games. It's just in the details. So like I said, touching back on what Wayne said, it's really the details. Pay attention to the power stages they have. Too many times I've seen an MP at 0 and the opposing player not enter combat the next turn. There's very few things that could happen that would ruin that combat for you. I mean, yeah, if they top deck and Unleashed, that can happen, and level them, but there's very few things that are going to stop your combat from being somewhat productive. That's just little things like that. But, yeah, that's all I really had. Nothing too crazy or sciencey.
Well, me having the beautiful mind that I have, we are changing, hot off the presses, we are changing HADs right now to dash. That's way more catchy. Discard, anger, stages, hand, dash. Let's go.
That's way better. Yeah.
All right, thanks. I'll write the check to myself.
Dash. Checks in the mail, me.
You gotta check the dash, man. We're about to you better check the dash. But when to call combat is a thing that a lot of players miss on, especially when they're first getting into the game.
Yeah.
To broaden it up, times do you because since we all kind of play decks that, in a sense, aside from a Dragon Ball deck, you're really looking to kind of turn some kind of corner. How do you guys kind of assess when it's time for you to go from being the reactive player to being the player trying to close out the game? I'll start with you, Kreitz, because you play a lot of Tau. And that's kind of Tau's MO.
Yeah, the downside for that is that it really can matter with just on a matchup to matchup basis.
Yeah.
Because with different MPs, you have to worry about different things. I mean, that's obviously the case for most games, but because Tau plays a lot of very specific tools, you have to know when those tools have worked in your favor, or when they're not as useful, and you have to just kind of go with the flow of what you've got. How Wayne was pointing out earlier, basically, sometimes you get caught in weird situations with weird cards, and you have to handle it. So knowing when to push, into the late game or the end game phase, basically, is a lot harder for that deck. Usually you can just tell, as awful as it sounds, by the demeanor of your opponent. If they look like they are no longer having a good time, you are probably winning now. As weird as that is.
Facts.
Body language tells a lot.
I think that one of the most important things that you should try to stay, aware of is blocks. Every time your opponent discards a block and it stays in the discard pile, you need to take note of that. Because, decks nowadays generally run anywhere around 12, 13, 14 blocks. And it's usually, most of the times it's kind of split down the middle depending on the meta. But as soon as you see 3 blocks, 4 blocks of the same type in your opponent's discard pile, you gotta kind of put the foot on the pedal now, because the chances of them, like Matt said, statistically the chances of them drawing a block or an answer to your attack is just getting lower and lower and lower, especially if they're not rejuvenating those cards or have a way to get those cards back. Then you just got to pay attention to that, because if you're not paying attention to that and you're still thinking with the same mindset of his blocks are the same, you're only handicapping yourself. You're basically fighting with one hand tied behind your back at that point.
Yep.
You miss out on a lot of good turns that you could have had that could have pushed you ahead, and instead you pass rejuve and you gain nothing. Your opponent just needs more time. Also,
a really interesting thing to do is if you keep track of what your opponent rejuves, this is a really big thing that will, honestly, it could help a control, or honestly more so in DBZ, a mid-range deck in DBZ, be able to shift to the aggressor earlier than it's supposed to. If you watch what your opponent rejuves and you see them tanking a lot of blocks to the bottom of the deck, and you never notice them or put on record them shuffling, it's usually a good time to try and force and push some damage, because you know that those blocks are no longer live within the deck. So then now if you're entering, you can basically count on the fact that they're maybe having 1 block, maybe 2 blocks max, or they're giving a tell of what card they're sitting on, whether if they're sitting on Confrontation, Stare Down, or Time. And then so now you know you're one event away from truly being able to push what you want to push. So that's a thing that a lot of tells that you can find within game that kind of give you a cue of when you should shift gears. But yeah, otherwise, you guys were saying about checking the discard pile for how many blocks of each type are there, that's something that people just don't do enough, man. Check the discard pile, check the banish pile. If they're missing blocks, they're gonna run out. It's gonna happen, and then eventually, it's gonna start pouring over, and you're gonna be able to pour it on and win the game.
I'm saying, Got dash on that ass, you know what I'm saying?
Got dash.
Get in.
You better check that dash before you get that ass.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But yeah, and so when it comes to the opposite way, so being reactive, how do you guys feel like that? I think that must be like a lot. I think that's probably easier than deciding when to be aggressive. But I think people sometimes end up getting trapped and do it too long. But like, how do you guys decide when to be the reactive player?
I think that you have to really, like you said, stay aware of the discard and remove from game pile, and then try to realize how many cards in your deck, and try to understand when you're winning. You know what I mean? Unless you have, like, if you're winning a game and you don't have, you know, the tools or the resources to really push you even further ahead, sometimes you can just sit back. And another thing that you should try to, you know, be aware of is what's left in your opponent's deck. When you see an MP, you get a pretty good idea of what they're trying to do and what's in their deck. So if you check the discard pile and, you know, 3 of those 6 bombs are in there, you really don't have much to worry about, especially if you're already in the driver's seat. So you just got to be aware and go in and check and see where you're at in the middle of a game, you know, to really make that decision on what you want to do moving forward with your turn.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Kreitz, what about you, man?
I mean, it comes down to kind of like body language is a big thing. I mean, the reason why we play games face-to-face is because you learn a lot from what your opponent is, how they're handling the situation, what they're checking, what their demeanor's like when they're responding to things that you're doing.
What cards they value.
Yeah, so that's a good tell, especially if they keep checking either certain cards of their own hand or certain cards in your discard pile. You can kind of glean what they're trying to get at. Most people are not going to try to next level you by looking at cards that they don't care about, at least like in a actual like competitive kind of like situation. They're usually just going to try to stay as focused on their game plan as they can be. So you don't really have to worry about like double bluffing. But another thing too is just like if they think that they have like some kind of trump that they're setting up, and you kind of have like stonewalled them, there's a good chance that they're going to try to hold that now. And if they give you a chance to get out of that combat or hit them with something that they weren't prepared for while still trying to hold on to that you can kind of use that to your advantage also. So there's a lot of like weird... And it's not like really nuanced because I think a lot of people catch on to it, but like it's one of those things where like you have to be attentive to what, like Wayne said, what you think their deck is doing and what has currently happened in the combat so far. Because like that means either 1, they don't have the card that you're worried about, 2, they have it but they don't want to use it, in which case you can potentially try to capitalize on it, or 3, they have it but they're waiting for the opportune moment. And if they do something cheeky like passing instead of using something, you can use that against them by just passing and just ending that combat and getting out of it. Or setting them up with a situation where you can punish them for holding a card that they could have used to capitalize on you and they didn't realize it themselves. Like there's all these like little small details that can get lost in the shuffle if you're not staying completely attentive to like what is going on in front of you.
Yeah. No, This is sorry, but you're just making you like you're talking about that in combat passing and like messing with the person. This topic is something that's like what I'm about to talk about is actually something that's like really like it's something that I do very often, and it's really important that other people, whether they do it or don't know that they're doing it.
You sure you want to drop this right now?
Yeah, I do. I do. I'm ready.
All right, bro.
Passing in the middle of combat when you were not the aggressive deck is one of the best possible tools that you have in this game. And the reason why I say that is because when someone enters combat on you, you have to, like, in DBZ, your resources used to be stages. But now we've gotten to a point where stages, in a sense, don't really matter aside from the matchup that you're in. So now your resources are the cards that you have in your hand. Strictly that, and then the actions that you have on the table. If somebody enters combat against you and plays a card,
they're playing one card, whatever you decide to do, where if you want to tank the attack that they're doing or something like that, going to your action and passing and then forcing them to take a second action is essentially leaving them down. If you just take MP to 4 cards, they're now down 5 cards with your MP in your hand to their 3 because they just took 2 in a row. So now you have swung the initiative and the hand advantage and the card advantage in your favor completely, and now you have the opportunity to be the aggressive player later in a combat, which is going to reward you more because now you're going to have access to the most information possible. You've seen the cards that they're playing, you're seeing the cards they value, and now you're able to make better decisions with the attacks you block and also the attacks that you're going to present for them to block. And a lot of times people have the same mindset I do, where they're going to be sitting on one block in combat. Well, now you can run them down to that one block, and now, floodgates are open. You're playing with perfect knowledge. You can get them down to 0 cards in hand, and now you have the upper hand in that combat.
So, sorry. Is this situation specifically for when your opponent enters on you, or is it also true vice versa?
You can do it vice versa as well. If you're not the controlling deck, if you are more so the controlling deck in a game, doing a mid-combat pass is always great if you want to get back up on actions. So say I enter and then play a card, my opponent then plays a card, and then I pass. If you give them the opportunity and they take that opportunity to make another action, you're now back ahead on cards.
Got it.
As attacking player, which is what you want to do. And then another thing that I like to do, when someone stare downs me or confrontations me and they take a card from me, I will pass my next action and I will wait to see what they do before I start responding in combat. Because I want them to keep revealing information to me. Before
they have perfect information on you now, so it's only fair that you try to get the information back.
Exactly. So a lot of times if someone stare downs me, even if I have an aggressive hand, I will pass for my next action because I do not want them to feel like they can get ahead in any manner, and I do not want to be at card parity.
You're okay with possibly losing that aggressive hand once they've seen it?
Yeah, no, 100%. Because now they have me dead to rights in a lot of sense.
Right. They have perfect knowledge of your hand.
They have perfect knowledge. So if I pass and wait for them, a lot of times they're going to take the opportunity because people get greedy. If they see I don't have blocks, they're going to throw attacks, and that's fine because I know the decks that I build, I know the amount of endurance that I have, I know if it really matters at this sense, things like that. But I'm now playing. I'm starting to gather knowledge on them, and like I said before, now I'm no longer at card parity. Now I'm up a card when I pass that action and give them another one. So now I've now taken the upper hand in that combat if I want it.
Yeah, there's another interesting thing to think about too with that. So if they stare down you and they see you have a very aggressive hand, and they know that they have a defensive or reactive hand, if you pass, you might put them in a situation where they also may have to pass, and now you've completely gotten rid of their benefits of the immediate effects on their blocks or their immediate effects of the reactive cards. You gave up getting the benefits of your aggressive cards, but you have way more of those in your deck. You don't have as many defensive answers in your deck. So if you cut your opponent off from using those, all of a sudden you are way better in the long run anyway too, because they lost being able to use the blocks, and they lost the effects that the blocks would have given them.
And when that happens, always check the cards that your opponent decided to discard. Always check those cards. Always ask what they discarded, because now you get to see, all right, how much of each copies of those are left in the deck? Let me check your discard pile. And then also, you're getting to gain value on what they decided to enter that combat with. You're getting to see how they value their hands and what they're prepared to go into combat with. So now, if you get the lead on the fact that your opponent's only entering with 1 to 2 blocks, and now you get a stare down to use on them, of course, you're playing with 80% knowledge because you have an idea of what they're doing, but then you get the 100% knowledge, and it's even more rewarding because your hand is now a stare down and 3 attacks, and you know that you're not going to get punished for it. You're going to pick up so much information by playing the game that way. And again, it's detail oriented, but like I said, the mid combat pass it's my favorite thing. I do it all the time. And it's something that can tilt somebody too. I'll enter, I'll make an action, it'll go to them, then I'll just pass. And then now the onus is on them. They have to, decide what they're going to do. Are they going to get down a card on me? or are they going to pass 2 and then end the combat? And then they, shit, what was he trying to accomplish? Why did he enter combat and then just pass? Like,
now they're frazzled.
Yeah, you end up picking up a lot of information by doing things like that. And like I said, nothing is more valuable in this game than cards in hand. Like, cards in hand that your opponent doesn't know are the most valuable tools in this game.
Well said, Matt Coombs.
Thanks, man. I've done well here too.
I play cardboard for fun.
Unless you sit across from the kid motherfucking Wayne. Ooh, you shitty.
You're right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't help it, man. Just happens sometimes.
Yeah. I'll accept that.
Thanks, man. What about all the games that we've played, like, not in tournament, where I've just, like, completely beat that ass? Like,
well, maybe those are just throwaways.
Listen,
maybe you didn't take them as serious.
All those were experimental. I was like, well, maybe I should play this tomorrow. Oh, maybe I should play this tomorrow. And you're like, nah. And you just whoop that ass. But when I want to beat you, I beat you. Let's say it like that.
You're right. I'll give it to you. Sure, man.
Oh, man.
All right. We talked about a lot, especially at the end.
Did.
Yeah.
We talked about way more than I thought we would this episode, actually.
Wow. All right. Cool beans.
Good shit in there, too.
Good shit there,
Good shit, guys.
I have to timestamp it again, just in case people want to skip the bullshit.
Nah.
So, like the first half hour, you mean?
we can name this podcast "It's Worth It."
It's worth it.
It's worth it. WORF.
It's worth. Or just name it. Check the dash.
Check the dash, yeah.
Check the dash, son.
Good
All right.
shit.
Anyways, I think it's about time. I think it's about time to wrap now. Slug if you're
Shit, Slug if you're nasty. Smack you in the back of your motherfucking head, dog. Smack the snapback off that ass.
Right. So, again, shout out to my motherfucking boyfriends, Chris Crichton, the kid Wayne.
Kid Wayne's a motherfucking genius.
He is, man. He sounded smart on this podcast. Hey, one time. I had a really good time chatting about this stuff. Hopefully we can continue to do more things like this, and hopefully you guys enjoy the content too. Please, if you decide to watch this or listen to this, whatever, and you want us to talk about something, please leave a comment. Or if you didn't like something, which I don't really fucking care if you like it or not. Because we're just going to keep doing whatever we want. We're doing this for a card game that isn't in production anymore. We're doing it just straight for the love of the game. So
shout out to the dev team, though.
Yeah,
that's right.
The dev team, much love, one love. Thank you guys for tuning in all the times we decided to do these podcast things. And that's all I have to say. What about you, Wayne? You got any closing thoughts or remarks?
Yeah, man. We don't get as much feedback as we'd like to, so any feedback is good feedback, regardless of what Coom says.
Only the good feedback.
We might care a little bit if y'all have ways that we can maybe improve the cast or whatever, but let us know. We need to hear from y'all. You know what I mean? We need to hear from the people, and we don't hear enough from y'all. So say something.
That's right.
All right, Chris. What about you, man?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you guys covered most of it. Same
it's
thing.
Your
like
moment.
I'll say same thing. Like I always say, like please check out the Fantasy Warriors Gather blog. I mean, I put a lot of effort in there. I know you guys have been talking about wanting to write articles on there too. So I mean, like we're here for the community as resources, and we want to have fun with you guys just as much as you want to. We all enjoy the game, so we just want to keep everything going, keep the momentum rolling. Yeah, things like that. So
one last plug. This is not DBZ related. It's Metacross. I know Wayne's going to hate this.
Hold on, wait, before you get to Metacross.
Yeah.
My slug article on Fantasy Warriors Gather is going to break this site.
All right,
dude,
now
I'm excited.
Now talk about games that people really care about.
Sure,
Metacross. Metacross. Be sure to check out the Facebook site. The Metacross TCG community page, and then also check out oblivionbar.wordpress.com, which is another one of Chris Kreitzman's blogs that we write about Metacross
it's your
content.
blog too.
I know, that's what I said. We rewrite about stuff.
That's right.
And then also, I'm still producing content under Get Good Gaming for the game as well. So please check that out. I really appreciate it. Your likes and feedback are needed, even if it's about Fansy. So I appreciate it. Otherwise, yeah, you guys say one more thing each, so I don't feel like I'm closing the show because I talked too much this episode.
I'd like to say that I don't dislike Metacross. I just don't know anything about it. I am going to give it a fair shot, and everyone says it's good, and if it's good, then I'll be involved, and maybe one day we could do casts for Metacross also. Riz, you're my boy. Get at me. I don't hear from you enough, dog. What's up? We ain't cool? I think we're cool. Hit me up for real. My motherfucking
cool.
boyfriend.
Oh, God. Kreitzman, can you tag Rich?
I could definitely try.
Tag Riz and then also tag when I went on my spiel. Make it happen.
Yeah, do that. All right, and then Kreitzman, you go ahead and say one more thing.
I don't even know if I have another thing to say. I'm so tapped right now.
Hey, you can respect from your door.
That's
the
right.
Door don't be you.
Fuck my door. That's what I'm going to put here.
Fuck that door.
And no one else will have any idea what we're talking about, but we will. And that's the important part.
All right.
We love you, kids.
Love you, kids. Okay, bye!
Bye!